Right, well, good evening everybody. Had one or two nights when it's been possible to get out recently, and I've been out with the camera a little bit. Didn't catch any auroras, I'm sad to say, but some did. First thing, just wanted to give a bit of an update on this. Comet Lovejoy is still alive and well, and I did actually manage to get a glimpse of that, one of the photographs I took the other evening. It's moved on up through the heavens. We looked last time at it passing Almach, Gamma Andromeda there, and that's happened, and it's moved on quite a way now, moving towards Cassiopeia. A little bit fainter, but still in the range of visible magnitude, about 5 or so now, fading a bit, and moving on up towards Cassiopeia. It's slowing down along its movement through the sky as well. It was moving quite quickly, but now it's sort of slowing down to just moving a few degrees in a week or so. But still probably some life to come from the comet there, and so that's that. We have an image. This was a professional image from the skies of New Mexico. I'm afraid we can only envy the sort of sky they get there. They get very clear sky and very good, very good lack of cloud and so on. So they go out most nights and take pictures like that. That's taken with a substantial telescope. I didn't get the detail on what sort, but you can see the false nucleus and the green colour there, and a good long tail that's extending over several degrees still. Not quite as long as it was apparently though. So it is shrinking and fading a bit as it starts to move further away from the sun. So that's Comet Lovejoy. Do get out and have a look at that if you get a chance. It is still worth seeing. We have some good things to see on the planets. In fact, Venus is now very, very bright just after sunset in the evening and rising higher and higher in the sky. Mercury has been and gone. We saw Mercury quite nicely in the evenings in January, but that will be back at the end of February as a morning star, but actually quite low down and difficult to see. This is not the best morning apparition of Mercury this year. Mars and Venus are closing in very, very close together. I got a look at them the other evening, and coming together now. I'll talk about the moon as well, actually, while at this stage. The moon tomorrow evening, and here's a bit of hot off the press news. The weather forecast is really looking quite good for this. If you can catch the thin moon round about, I would say about from 6 o'clock onwards, probably till 20 past 6 or so. If you get it in that sort of window, you have the chance to see a new moon at about 18 and a half hours old, which is a very, very new moon indeed to see. And what you need is a clear southwest horizon. You watch the sun go down, and you don't even start looking in that direction until the sun has gone down, and then you can start searching around with binoculars for the thin crescent moon. And Terry says it only counts if you see it naked eye. But I'll have a go with the camera and the lens on that thing if I get a chance. But that's the thin moon tomorrow, and then the day after, Friday the 20th, that then moves into the same binocular field as Venus and Mars, and then Venus and Mars get even closer and closer together, such that by Saturday they are closer together than the width of the moon, so they're about 20 arc minutes apart. So that's a good little bit of action going on there. Uranus is still visible as well. Saturn you have to get up early in the morning to see. It is there, but it's down in Scorpio, quite low down. And Jupiter, of course, you can't fail to see Jupiter if you've got any sort of clear sky. Jupiter is fantastically bright, and it's worth looking at through a telescope. There are some events that Terry has documented in his latest email, and I've actually put that into the news tab on the website. Because the solar system is essentially flat, and when Jupiter is in opposition, its moons are apparently in a sort of a flat configuration, and we get many events of moons eclipsing other moons, and moons casting shadows on Jupiter. And there's a list of those upcoming in Terry's email, so that's well worth having a look at. The Jovian moon events. This is. That's Venus and Mars. I took that up in the Antrim Hills just Monday evening, in fact. I was actually going up there looking for something else, but then suddenly this sky just clouded over and I started to go home, and then I went off, the sky cleared again, so I went off somewhere else to find something else that I'll show you in a minute. But here's Venus and here's Mars, and this here is actually the top of Slemish. So that's actually the top of an extinct volcano. At least I hope it's extinct, because I live quite close to it. So there we go. The sun is completely inactive pretty much at the minute. The only sunspot that's doing anything at all is this one here, 2282. Everything else, it's more or less blank, probably as inactive as it's been for quite a long time. But that doesn't tell the whole story, actually, because I'll show you Peter's picture. By the way, Peter sends his apologies today. He hasn't not able to come, but he was able to get out yesterday and photograph the solar disk. And he's got the same thing there. 2282 really is the only thing on it. There was a thinking that this might be something or other coming around here, but it seems not to be anything terribly important. And likewise, it wouldn't be one of Peter's pictures if we didn't have a calcium view of that. And that's the same sunspot group in the calcium K light there. Doesn't tell the whole story though. This is a great picture. Terry said there's been some auroras, and I'll show you something more local in a moment, but this was actually taken from the International Space Station. I think it was sometime around about the weekend. And here's the aurora, and this is all us here. Here's Belfast and Lough Neagh, and then the Antrim coast there, and then this is the central belt of Scotland, and Newcastle, Liverpool, Manchester, Leeds, Bradford, all that there. So you can see actually it's quite a way north at that point. We'd like to see that come down a little bit more this way so we can see. But that's a fantastic picture, just taken out the window of the International Space Station. Just goes to show what a viewpoint a couple of hundred miles high can do for you. But this is Sweden last night, northern Sweden, where it all kicks off. And the reason being, although the sun is very inactive, there are these coronal holes, and they have for a few days now been emitting particles towards the Earth. So we're not getting it from a solar flare this time, we're getting it from coronal holes. And there has been some interaction with the atmosphere. And actually you may have seen the paper, the Daily Mail particularly, carried pictures of auroras in Britain. And this is actually one from Northern Ireland. This is Giant's Causeway, very recognisable. And there's some cloud in this, but you can see the aurora. And this one was notable for having quite a lot of sort of red on top of it. A fairly low green glow. This guy did actually tell me what the settings on his camera were, and you're looking at a 30-second exposure there. So that's really not a very bright aurora, but nevertheless quite worth seeing. I think if you looked at that, you would not see any colour in it. You'd probably see something like a white fog. It's one of those that only the camera brings out colour in. So a photographic aurora, as we call it. But that coronal hole is still blasting away, and so we could, if you get the sky, see something tonight. If you've got a sensitive camera, point it northwards and a dark place and see what you get. So that's that. There's another sort of light in the sky. I'm not sure how this will come out on the projector. It's very, very faint. But this is about the only time of the year that you can see in the evening zodiacal light. I don't know how well, of course, they already, but if you see that there's the two planets that we looked at earlier, Venus and Mars. This is a photograph taken with a very, very wide-angle lens, indeed a 7.5mm fisheye. And if you look along the line of the zodiac, so you have Taurus up here, and the planets down here. This is the plane of the solar system, the zodiac. There's the zodiacal light there. I think there's a glow there, but it's not huge. It's certainly not as bright as the Milky Way here. I have seen it where it's been similar in brightness to the Milky Way, but I don't think it quite is there. There's a glow there. This also, there's other features in this picture which I'll point out, because this was taken up by Killy Lane Reservoir, which I used to think was a fairly dark place, but it isn't. Because all this over here is Belfast, this is sort of Mollusk way here, and then you've got Aldergrove and Antrim and Ballymena there, and they stand out. The light pollution is now so horrible that you can see it from probably sort of 15, 20 miles away from the towns that we're looking at there. And see how much light is reflected in the reservoir here. It's extraordinary. But there we are, so that's that. I'll keep this picture here because it's a good guide to some objects in the night sky because it covers a very wide area. We've got the bottom half of Orion up here, so we've got Orion's belt and Orion's sword, and the bottom of Orion, we've got Rigel there. I haven't quite got Betelgeuse up there into it. We follow the three lines of Orion's belt up to Taurus, the bull, and Aldebaran there, and the Hyades. Aldebaran, by the way, keep an eye on Aldebaran over the next 4 years or so. And I say that for the next 4 years because it's just going through a cycle of lunar occultations. It's one of only 4 stars that the moon, the 4 bright first magnitude stars, I should say, that the moon can pass in front of, and it comes in cycles. And for the next 4 years, not every month, you have to be in the right part of the Earth at the right time to actually see it. But I think there's about 3 occasions this year when Aldebaran will be eclipsed by the moon going in front of it. And 7 sisters here, of course. And you can see the main belt of Perseus, double cluster, big W of Cassiopeia there. There is the Andromeda Galaxy, SA31. And we've got the great square of Pegasus down here, there's 4 stars. And you can even see right over to the very top end of Cygnus the Swan. You have Deneb there, the North American Nebula just next to it. And those stars going there. So that's a quick whiz around part of the night sky here, all captured on one very wide angle lens. I'm going to keep plugging this until it happens. I hope that we do get to see it. This is the upcoming solar eclipse, as we'll see it from here. That will be the view of the sun, 93.1% covered from Belfast on the morning of the 20th of March. And we are planning on having a viewing session of that out the front here. Apparently if you stand far enough away on the grass there, you can see the whole event over the top of this building, weather permitting, of course. So we'll send out more details about when we're gathering there, but this will be at least one of the places that we'll be coming to see that eclipse. We'll try and spread ourselves around a little bit to cover a few bases, but that is it, 9:30 on the morning of the 20th. And we might see something, I suppose. I'll show you a different one this time. It's not the same one I showed you last time. It's a different picture. I just happened to be looking at an eclipse, and a plane went past, and I realised the plane had gone past. I thought, hang on a minute, I've got the remote shutter in my hand. Why don't I press the button? So that's a Chinese Airbus, and that's the eclipse in China, 8 minutes after totality. I will be telling you all sorts of things about safety and all that sort of thing, and the eagle-eyed will realise that I've ignored all of them in that picture. I've used no filters, apart from that thoughtfully provided by Mother Nature. So that's eclipses. That's all I have to say, just to remind you about the observing Delamont. Friday or Saturday, have a look on the forum, and we'll decide what day it is there. So that's me. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Paul.